The CA125 test is best understood as a signal rather than a verdict, a quiet indicator that invites attention instead of fear. And when we approach it this way, it becomes far less intimidating and far more useful. Our bodies are constantly communicating through subtle biological messages, and CA125 is one of those messages that reflect activity, change, or irritation within certain tissues. It does not declare disease on its own, and it certainly does not define a person's future. Like many markers in medicine, its value lies in context, timing, and thoughtful interpretation. A single number taken from the bloodstream is not a final answer, but a clue. And clues only make sense when they are placed alongside symptoms, medical history, age, and overall well-being. As we grow older, this perspective becomes especially important because the body naturally changes over time. Inflammation may rise and fall, tissues may respond differently to stress, and normal life events can influence lab values in ways that are completely harmless. The CA125 test reflects this complexity. It can rise from many non-serious reasons, including normal bodily processes, and that reality reminds us that fear often comes from misunderstanding rather than from the test itself. Wisdom in health means resisting the urge to panic and instead choosing to pause, breathe, and ask what the body might be communicating at this moment. When doctors use CA125 thoughtfully, they rarely look at it in isolation. They watch patterns over time, noticing whether levels are stable, gently fluctuating, or changing in a way that suggests closer attention is needed. This approach mirrors how life itself unfolds, not in sudden declarations, but in gradual signals that reward patience and observation. For older adults, this can be deeply reassuring because it shifts healthcare away from dramatic conclusions and toward steady guidance. The test becomes a companion to clinical judgment rather than a source of alarm. Understanding CA125 as a signal also empowers individuals. Instead of feeling helpless in the face of a lab result, people can engage in informed conversations with their healthcare providers, asking why the test was ordered, what the result means for them personally, and what the next steps truly are. This sense of participation restores confidence and replaces anxiety with clarity. Knowledge does not increase fear when it is grounded in context, it dissolves fear by turning uncertainty into understanding. Most importantly, seeing CA125 as a signal honors the intelligence of the human body. It acknowledges that the body rarely shouts without first whispering, and that those whispers are meant to guide care, not create distress. When we learn to listen calmly, we respect both science and ourselves, allowing health monitoring to become an act of self-awareness and self-respect, rather than something to dread or avoid. And this mindset opens the door to trust, patience, and a healthier relationship with medical information and with the body itself, as it continues to communicate, adapt, and carry us forward through the later chapters of life. A healthy, nourishing diet becomes one of the most powerful ways to support the body as it ages, not because it promises perfection, but because it creates an internal environment where balance, resilience, and clarity can naturally grow. Every bite we take sends information to our cells, shaping how they respond to stress, repair damage, and communicate with one another. When we choose foods that are rich in natural nutrients, we are not just feeding hunger, we are strengthening the quiet systems that keep inflammation in check and support the body's ability to interpret signals like CA125 with steadiness rather than strain. As years pass, the body becomes more sensitive to what it consumes, and this sensitivity is not a weakness, but a form of wisdom. Fresh vegetables, colorful fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats work together like a supportive community inside the body, offering antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and minerals that protect tissues and encourage gentle detoxification. These foods help stabilize blood sugar, reduce unnecessary inflammatory responses, and promote smoother circulation, all of which contribute to a calmer internal state where biological markers reflect true conditions rather than constant irritation. Hydration plays an equally meaningful role in this process because water allows nutrients to travel efficiently and waste products to leave the body without delay. Even mild dehydration can create subtle stress in tissues, while consistent hydration keeps cellular communication flowing smoothly. Drinking water regularly throughout the day becomes a simple but profound act of respect for the body's need for rhythm and renewal. Eating slowly and with awareness deepens the benefits of nutrition beyond chemistry. When meals are rushed, the nervous system remains tense and digestion becomes less efficient. When food is enjoyed calmly, the body shifts into a receptive state where nutrients are absorbed more fully and hormonal balance is supported. This mindful approach turns each meal into a moment of connection, reminding the body that it is safe, supported, and cared for. For older adults, dietary habits also influence energy levels, mood, and immune strength, all of which shape how the body responds to physical changes and medical monitoring. Reducing highly processed foods, excess sugar, and artificial additives lowers the background noise of inflammation, allowing clearer biological signals to emerge. Over time, consistent nourishment becomes less about restriction and more about alignment, choosing foods that feel supportive rather than draining. Ultimately, a healthy diet is not a temporary adjustment, but a daily conversation with longevity and vitality. It does not control specific test results, but it strengthens the foundation upon which all health measurements rest. By feeding the body with intention, patience, and gratitude, older adults create a steady internal landscape where healing feels possible, stability feels natural, and every cell recognizes that it is part of a life guided by care, wisdom, and enduring self-respect. Light, consistent movement remains one of the most effective ways to support the body at any age, especially in later years when gentleness and regularity matter more than intensity. The body is designed to move, not in extreme bursts that exhaust it, but in steady rhythms that keep joints lubricated, muscles responsive, and circulation flowing freely. When movement becomes a daily habit, it reassures the body that it is still engaged with life, still capable, and still worthy of care. This message is powerful because the body responds to use with strength and to neglect with stiffness and decline. Simple activities such as walking, stretching, gentle yoga, light resistance exercises, or balance movements activate multiple systems at once. Muscles help regulate blood sugar, bones respond by maintaining density, and the heart adapts by becoming more efficient. Even brief sessions of movement encourage blood to carry oxygen and nutrients more effectively, which supports cellular repair and immune function. Over time, this steady flow reduces the background stress that can influence how the body expresses various biological markers. Movement also has a profound effect on the nervous system. Gentle exercise signals safety and control, calming stress hormones that otherwise remain elevated in sedentary routines. As stress hormones settle, inflammation decreases, and the body's internal communication becomes clearer. This is especially important for older adults because chronic stress can quietly amplify physical discomfort and distort the body's natural balance. Light movement restores a sense of agency and connection, reminding both body and mind that progress does not require strain. There's also an emotional dimension to movement that should not be underestimated. Physical activity releases chemicals in the brain that lift mood and reduce anxiety, creating a positive feedback loop where movement supports confidence and confidence encourages continued movement. For many older adults, this emotional lift can be just as valuable as the physical benefits, helping to replace fear of fragility with trust in capability. Each step, stretch, or gentle effort becomes evidence that the body is still responsive and adaptable. Consistency is the true secret. Short, regular sessions are far more beneficial than occasional bursts of intense activity. The goal is not exhaustion, but engagement. Listening to the body, respecting limits, and allowing rest when needed prevents injury and builds trust. Over time, this trust deepens the relationship between mind and body, turning exercise into a form of self-care rather than obligation. When movement is approached with patience and kindness, it becomes a daily affirmation of life and health. It does not aim to reverse age, but to support function, dignity, and independence. In this way, light exercise becomes a quiet ally, strengthening the body's resilience, supporting internal balance, and reinforcing the belief that vitality is sustained not through force, but through gentle, faithful motion woven naturally into everyday life. Daily lifestyle habits quietly shape the internal environment of the body, often more powerfully than any single medical intervention. As we grow older, routines such as sleep, stress management, and consistent daily rhythms become essential foundations for stability and healing. Quality sleep is not simply rest. It is an active period during which the body repairs tissues, balances hormones, and regulates immune responses. When sleep is irregular or insufficient, these systems struggle to synchronize, creating subtle strain that can influence how the body responds to change. Establishing calm evening routines, limiting stimulation before bed, and honoring the body's natural need for rest allows these restorative processes to unfold with greater ease. Stress management is equally vital because chronic tension keeps the body in a constant state of alert. Over time, this persistent activation disrupts digestion, weakens immunity, and increases inflammation. Simple practices such as slow breathing, quiet reflection, time in nature, or gentle music can shift the nervous system out of survival mode and into a state of balance. When stress softens, the body regains its capacity to heal and regulate itself more effectively. This is not about eliminating stress completely, but about creating moments of relief that accumulate into resilience. Consistency in daily routines provides the body with a sense of predictability and safety. Regular meal times, steady sleep schedules, and familiar patterns help regulate internal clocks that govern hormone release and metabolic function. For older adults, this predictability supports energy levels and emotional stability, reducing the strain caused by constant adjustment. Small habits, repeated daily, carry more power than dramatic changes made briefly, because the body responds best to steady signals rather than sudden shifts. Limiting harmful habits is also part of this lifestyle foundation. Reducing excessive alcohol, avoiding smoking, and minimizing exposure to unnecessary toxins lowers the background burden the body must manage. When this burden is lighter, internal systems can focus on maintenance and repair rather than constant defense. Over time, this creates a calmer internal landscape where the body's signals are clearer and less distorted by chronic irritation. Equally important is the practice of listening to the body. Fatigue, discomfort, and emotional strain are forms of communication, not inconveniences to ignore. Responding with rest, adjustment, or support strengthens trust between mind and body. This trust encourages long-term adherence to healthy habits because care becomes intuitive rather than forced. Together, these daily lifestyle choices form a supportive framework that allows the body to function with dignity and balance. They do not promise control over every outcome, but they create conditions where stability is more likely and healing feels possible. Through gentle routines and mindful choices, older adults can cultivate an internal environment that supports well-being, resilience, and a deeper sense of harmony with the natural rhythms of life as they continue to unfold quietly each day.